I guess we are using time up before the edict, huh? So that's kind of bad. Oh well. Okay, what do you got to say? Couldn't help but notice how you were eyeballing the disfavored symbol littered around camp. Um, Actually, I have other questions. Go on then.
What do you need?
Are you a spy for the voice? Tell me about yourself.
If you insist. I'm a Scarlet Fury. That should raise some flags for you. It means that I'm good at killing, and more importantly, that I enjoy it. What I won't enjoy are the pleasures of funerary rites packed with weeping mourners. Someday I'll fall in battle, and then they'll roll me into a mass grave or heap me atop a shit-stained wagon. One more anonymous, knife-riddled piece of meat.
Okay.
Until then, I plan to take whatever I can from life and have a little fun along the way.
Alright. How did you get conscripted? How did I think you got the wrong idea about me. The chorus didn't take me in as a sobbing maid. I strode in their camp and I enlisted. Someone tossed me a dented blade. I lived through initiation. Spent a week butchering my neighbors. And moved on with my new kin. Okay. I didn't waste time with goodbyes. My mother had long since died, along with the rest of my family, and the rest of my family were louses. The girl I used to be, even she knew that she was worth more than all of them combined. But what is the significance of your feathers? Well, you're getting awfully chummy, so I guess you deserve a story. My mother kept a messenger bird, Witterbeak. He was an old, angry bastard, spoiled from living the high life. Squawked in my window every single night. Pecked my fingers while I fed him only the fattest, juiciest mites. When I left the farm to join the Scarlet Chorus, I wrung that little ungrateful fucker like a dish rag, plucked his feathers, and gave his carcass to the mice. It felt like justice. She slides a crimson feather from her hair, and spins it in her fingers. I also like how the feathers catch the breeze. Helps me keep my balance, especially when I'm moving fast. She slips the feather among the others and smooths it back. Tell me about your life before the chorus. Life? What life? As far as I'm concerned, I didn't exist before the chorus. There was some girl in a farm wearing my face and talking with my voice. But she wasn't me. Sometimes she would sneak out at night, take a scythe, and have some fun with the livestock. Our shared interest began and ended there. When the Scarlet Chorus swept through my village and their long trek from the bastard city, that was when I finally woke up. I buried my own life, took red vengeance out on anyone who wronged me, and found the freedom I could only dream was out there. And what of your parents? My mother ran a successful farm, and I worked it for a number of years before I found the chorus. She was a hard, bitter woman, acted like the world owed her something. She never talked about my father, though I figured out a thing or two about him later on. He was a merchant from the Northern Empire who took a liking to her, and she liked him. He stayed around only long enough to get what he wanted. But never mind him. My mother never had what you would call taste, so he couldn't have been terribly influential to me if he did stick around. Enough questions about your past. That suits me just fine. I'm not much for comparing family histories if I can avoid it. What are your thoughts on the disfavored? A warren of self-entitled children, so wound up in the delusions of honor they're likely to hang themselves by their own high standards. I wish they stayed in the Northern Empire here, where they belonged. Then we could get some real work done in the tiers. What do you think of their leader, Graven Ash? I've seen enough of that high-minded braggart to know he's all duty. Nothing but a charismatic, broad-shouldered scarecrow. He calls himself the Archon of War, though by the way he stalls his forces waiting for a better strategy to present himself, you would think he's afraid of battle. You would think that someone more deserving would take Ash's mantle from him, but the disfavored have this cult of personality built around their great general. In their eyes, he could do no wrong. Who would take Ash's place? I would rather let the disfavored sort it out among themselves. Graven Ash is this aging figurehead of what should be a constantly changing role. The right soldier needs to grow a pair and kill the old man. Kick his cane from under him. Remind Legion what strength looks like. Okay, I disagree. I don't like the Scarlet Chorus based off her. The voices of Narat changes. He's a multifaceted gem, and the Scarlet Chorus is a reflection of that beauty. If someone could rise up and strike down the voices, any of us would follow them in a heartbeat. Okay. What about Ash's connection to his troops? Graven Ash protects. His soldiers keep on harping the words like they mean something. I don't deny that his favorite can take a few extra lumps on the battlefield, but that only speaks of thick-headedness. If anything, it's only true because his soldiers place that much trust in it. I've seen the power of suggestion do stranger things to people. Stranger than healed battlefield wounds? Could that be possible? We're talking about a man who's centuries old and wears glowing armor. You tell me. Interesting, because I haven't seen him, but okay. I suppose you have a better idea how to handle this favorite's forces? Of course I do. First, I'd stop babying the troops. Pain is a lesson best learned early. I'd conscript from the locals to bolster their front lines, because why waste your elite on the vanguard? Then I'd leave any misplaced ethics back in the Northern Empire. They're not helping the campaign, Kyrus' campaign anyway, so fuck them. I hope this is the sarcastic line, number 2 here, because that's pretty much what I would be getting at. No, you know what? I'm not doing that. You take away everything that makes them strong. It's a damn fine alternative to where I'm standing, from where I'm standing. If all that strength could end a siege, what good is it to anyone? Would that be so wrong? The chorus is accountable for itself in ways that his favorite aren't. Our weak die and our strong fight to keep their rank. The disfavored promote their waning bloodline and discipline any soldier with the audacity to show their teeth. Though they'd never admit it, the disfavored need the chorus to show them the way. Do you think the disfavored have a chance to succeed in the tiers? Speaking as one of the exceptions, most of the tiersmen are pushovers. The people of Stalwart seem capable enough, though I have my doubts. You might call them the disfavored's best challenge. Even if they succeeded, it might be too late to redeem themselves. The chorus have already impacted the conquest more than the disfavored have, or likely ever will. What are your thoughts on their battle strategies? They've got something with that phalanx maneuver, a formation built on holding still, moving forward slowly, and hoping that no one slips in the mud. At best, the disfavored are tired of using the same tactic over and over again. At worst, the enemy knows what to expect out of them. The Scarlet Furies are dancers. We hear the music of battle and organize ourselves into works of killing art. Every fight is as hot as passionate as the last, with no room for stale routine. Okay. What do you think of those who defy Kyrus' authority? The tiersmen can either fight or submit to Kyrus' peace, and only one of those options captures my interest. I suppose I appreciate them. I suppose I appreciate when they go down fighting. If they did otherwise, I would need to find another excuse to play them. They need to understand whether we unify the tiers under a shared banner or at the bottom of a mass grave makes little difference to me, you, or Kyrus in different organizations. Okay, did you fight any notable battles? I spent some time in Azure toward the end of the war. Beastmen ripped my unit apart. We thought they might be working under Karen's orders, but we never found out for sure. No, I think it's Karn. That's an interesting view of the conquest. It's a pragmatic one anyway. The Scarlet Chorus caught onto the idea from the beginning of the campaign. If no one objects, we're here to carve a bloody path for gain and amusement. Then by all accounts, that is our purpose. Besides, unification is such a vaguely concept that Kyrus allows the disfavored and the chorus to interpret as they will. The Overlord is concerned with results. I'm happy to focus on the details, especially if that means cutting off a farmer's legs while his family watches their land burn. She smiles at a pleasing memory. You're disgusting, actually. If you would understand how a Scarlet Fury makes art out of death, you might not think so. Keep an open mind. You might enjoy the things I show you. Your words don't faze her in the slightest. She only nods, a suspicion confirmed. Well, she's freaking crazy. Tell me about your time with the Scarlet Chorus.
The Scarlet Chorus is mostly for madmen and peasants with rusty daggers, but it's also a little niche of freedom that I never had. Once I survived training and met my Scarlet Fury sisters, I saw a different side of the howling mob.
Tell me about your training.
For new recruits shoved to the front lines, training means surviving the first battle. Anything beyond that is for the fighters who show potential, whether as blade dancers or arcane madmen.
Arcane madmen.
There's nothing in the world like getting put through the paces as a Scarlet Fury. Every day is a test of your commitment and passion. Failure means death. The first few weeks were the hardest, but also the most rewarding. I earned my name, picked up some quality weapons, and met my sisters.
You earned your name? Well, I could probably... This is probably going to be like... She dances well, or she yells a lot, so it sounds like a verse. If you think a simple farmer from the Tears would name her child Verse, I suggest you visit my old village. Most of them are walking around with surnames like Barrel or Fish. They're not the most creative bunch. She smirks and shakes her head. The chorus takes your name away. Whoever you were before, you aren't that person anymore. Then you earn back a name through great deeds, usually murderous ones. That's why you see choirmen walking around with names like Stink Mouse or Face First. There's probably a good reason for it. Oh, wait. Choirmen, interesting. That's what they call their chorus? The voices of Narad gave me this name. When the Scarlet Chorus runs howling into battle, he doesn't wear war. He doesn't hear war, or rather, not wear war. He hears the symphony. And when I fight with blade or bow, he told me that my music stands out louder than anyone else's, and it contains too many parts to be easily defined. When you least suspected, the Arcana secrets can be downright charming. What's your real name? That isn't a question worthy of either of us, but I'll entertain it out of pity. You already know me by my real name. It's Verse. Are you looking for whatever arbitrary collection of letters and sounds my mother thought was appropriate when she didn't even know me? Then you're out of luck. I buried that name a long time ago, long by my standards anyways. Tell me about your weapon skills. When I was a kid, it didn't take me long to realize I was a natural. I could pick up a rusty kitchen knife and skewer a rat across the room. The Scarlet Chorus gave me opportunities to further educate myself. My sisters were always a bit surprised, by how quickly I took to different fighting styles. She frowns for a moment, then shakes off whatever she wanted to say. Tell me about the Scarlet Furies.
The elite fighters of the Scarlet Chorus. Your typical Horde recruit fights with a rusty spoon and a chip on his shoulder, but the Scarlet Furies are, well, different.
Okay.
We focus our madness. We coordinate, we kill, we dance. It's like art. Imagine a sculpture that twisted in weird, beautiful angles, and then gutted you too fast for you to realize what was happening.
Do you even hear yourself when you talk?
Oh, fuck you then. I'm not here to dazzle you with my use of metaphor. When it comes to the Scarlet Chorus, you either get it, or you don't.
Well, I don't get it at all, because I think you're freaking crazy.
What do you need to know?
Before, you hesitated when you brought up your fighting styles. Why? Noticed that, didn't you? It's a matter I'm not used to discussing. Mostly because I don't know how. I mentioned before that I'm good at picking up a different weapons and fighting techniques. The truth is, I'm better than good. I could flay a man so cleanly I'd leave a single strip of skin behind. He wouldn't even need to be tied down. Wow. That was one of the first things I discovered about myself after joining the Scarlet Chorus. The voices of Narat recognized it in me as well, which is why he singled me out for the Scarlet Fury training. Rather. Have you tried that flaying trick before? Let's just say that we were. Let's just say that when we ran out of canvas for pitching tents, the fifth eye handed me a knife and pointed me to the prison pens. She winks. My sisters were masters of their fighting forms, but since they died, my style has changed, almost like I could kill as they did. I could pick up a bow, a lance, anything really. I could tear someone to pieces with a weapon that I watched only my sisters use. I don't know what it could mean, and that worries me. Why? Who are your sisters? Who were they would be more appropriate. 3 Whispers, Red Geyser, and Seeking Sheath. The best fighters I've ever met. Okay, that's the name of our stances, actually. There wasn't a foe we couldn't take down together. Our fighting styles complemented perfectly, so we divided the killing the work like bards sharing a song. At least we used to. She presents a solemn smile. Tell me about 3 Whispers. She was calm as the surface of a pond, light on her feet. More than one foe tripped and fell on their own blade due to Whisper's crafty footwork. Verse lets her gaze slip away from you as a fleeting moment of sorrow steals her attention. Okay, Red Geyser. A one-woman siege breaker. She would launch herself at foes like a battering ram. Not even a discard phalanx could have withstand that dumb, suicidal wench rather. Karos's eyes. But she was something to behold. Verse slams her fist into her palm. Tell me about Seeking Sheath. A girl that could pass a spear through 12 rings from a far side of a battlefield. Kairos helps any soldiers who approach her. Kairos help any foes who approached her marching single file. She made a game of splitting as many soldiers as possible in the same javelin. Wow. What happened to them? We were scouting around Bendrian's well during the siege, back when we only suspected the guard of organizing in secret. My sisters and I came a group on them, or Kairos knows, maybe they found us. No one said anything, we drew iron and bronze. That was when everything went wrong. I was supposed to take point and occupy the guard with a dance of blade work, something disorienting while my sisters picked their marks. I hesitated. I lost my nerve. Instead of rushing the Oathbreakers, I froze with my weapon drawn. My sisters fought on without me, but they were off balance, like whatever I had was catching. They died. I lived. My sisters were relying on me to lead the dance, and I failed them. It's understandable. Caution stayed in your hand. Caution? Save your caution for this favor. If we showed caution, could we have taken the bastard city or the gates of judgment? Could we have conquered the tears with anything less than our blood boiling over with rage, our song of battle ripping from our lungs? Hesitation is a rot. It's becoming of any chorus member and unheard of in a Scarlet Fury. I would cut it from my body and cauterize the wound if only I knew its source. She grimaces once more and turns inward, contemplating. Any thoughts on the topic? Or are we here just to open old wounds? Any idea why you lost your nerve in battle? I wish I had an explanation. For the first time, I lost the dance. The song of murder drew is silent, and said there was only rigid, organized control. I had more questions about... No, actually I don't, but let's see.
What do you need to know?
Who are the Scarlet Chorus leaders? Well, the voice of Murat is the spider at the center of the web. He acts like the army belongs to him, and only lends it to Kairos because it suits his purpose. Both of which are true. The rest are all offshoots of the voices, like the fifth eye. Once you get down to the rank and file, the Scarlet Chorus organize around a motley bunch of gang bosses who call the shots. What did you want to know? Tell me about the voice of Murat. He's a madman, but that never stopped me from following his orders. Even in a legion as cutthroat as the chorus, you'd better know than to get on the voice's bad side. People across him, or just the people he meets, don't tend to survive the experience. If he ever seems disorganized or lost, it's because he's channeling one of the personalities he's devoured over the years. His mannerisms shift over to someone else, someone who is probably long since dead. Better to die than become part of the voices. Wow. What makes the voices so powerful? He's the Archon of Secrets, and he didn't earn that title lightly. People say he knows more than every People say people say he knows more than every sage in the tiers combined, and that he could think 1,000 steps ahead of the other archons. It would be putting it lightly to say he's never been alone in that disapproving helmet of his. If you make secrets your business, I guess having people constantly whisper in your ear is a good thing. I usually want people to shut up, but each to their own. But each to their own, rather. Tell me about the gang bosses. A boss is anyone who can rally enough support to kill the previous boss. They cling to command until someone gets wise and stabs him in the back. Tin Caps leads the Filthy Lambs. Locks leads the Rusted Harps, rather. Sharp used to lead the Bone Boys. Couldn't say he ended up better after they broke his legs. Couldn't say where he ended up after they broke his legs. Water Wheel orders around the hairy hunters. Hauls for shit leads the lazy Mulkins. And then Scurvy Queen, Finger Food, and Wild Gash collectively lead the ladies of perpetual strangulation. Okay. I'm forgetting at least a dozen more. I've even led a gang or two in my day. They never survive very long, so no point in getting attached. Tell me about the fifth eye. A walking nightmare, that one. I couldn't begin to guess who lives under that armor and speaks with that reedy voice. But I'll tell you what I know. When your world is built on secrets, it pays to have a few extra eyes. The voice of Narat has eyes in abundance. Some that he keeps close, others that he sends out into the wilderness. Whoever the fifth eye was before he came to the Archon service, whoever the fifth eye was before he came into the Archon service, now he's just a half-mad, jabbering speech hole, a bodily function. In other words, an eye. How many eyes does the Archon of Secrets have? The number keeps changing, either because it grows or because rumors don't mean shit. 3719. Some even say all of us are eyes and we don't know it, and we don't even know it. She shakes her head in thoughtful disapproval. It's one of those questions that drives you mad if you allow yourself to think about it too long. Hey, you could be one of Tunon's eyes. Bet you never thought of that. Back to my other questions of the Scarlet Chorus leaders. You led a gang? Don't act so surprised. I can crack the whip better than any of those days at his favorite labor camps. But I was never that interested in the power struggle of those grunts and scabs in the middle. I wanted to stand on top like the apex predator. Here I am. So when I got tired of a gang, I disbanded and let the other bosses fight over the new recruits. That amused me, at least. Some of my old mates are still alive and hanging around wherever they ended up.
What do you need to know?
I have thoughts about your combat abilities.
Do you now? Call me intrigued. You already know that I memorized the moves of my Scarlet Fury sisters. If it seems like a total mystery to me, I don't know how you could have arrived at any conclusions, but I'm open to ideas.
Your talent reminds me of the voices of Narat. Well, that's actually kind of true.
I hope I didn't hear you say that, Fatebinder. Because the implication is more than either of us is prepared to handle.
Well, you just heard it.
The voices of Narat is a monster. We both know that Tyranny has never seen a creature more despicable than him. Never mind that he's kind of my boss.
I'm not comparing you to the voices, only this talent you exhibit.
My little talent that latches onto my friends and bleeds them dry, you mean? Because I never asked for it.
Okay.
I've traveled with the chorus for years. I've seen what the voices can do, and it scares me, all right? The idea that everything I am could be reduced to that. If I had that kind of power, if I could become like him, I don't know how I could live with myself. I'd rather drown myself in a camp latrine.
Why such an aversion?
Because the voices isn't... I mean, can you even call him human anymore?
Well, I can't really call you human anymore, actually.
Everything I am has led me to this point. I joined the chorus, fought to survive, grew stronger than I ever knew I could be. I never needed to steal anything that made me, me. I don't want to be better by being someone else. The Voices is stronger than anyone and terrifying enough to lead the chorus, but he's also an overgrown parasite. And someday he'll stuff himself so full of voices that he'll burst.
You don't have to become like him, just be selective.
I'm sure he had the same idea when he got started. But you know what they say about power? It's usually wielded by assholes.
Oh yeah?
My sisters died. You should have seen us. We were amazing together. I didn't mean to take away what made them special, but I did it all the same. And let me tell you, it felt terrible.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm sure it did.
If I lived a century, I might never figure out how to make that happen again. And more importantly, I don't want to.
Well... Okay, so... How is it that you picked up your fallen sister's weapon skills? That's been on my mind for some time, and I still don't have an explanation for that fits. I have a few ideas, but she frowns in thought. Scarlet Furies share a sort of link. It's how we coordinate our dance in the heat of battle. We don't pass on messages or anything, but our emotions and intentions sync up without words. She starts worrying one of her knives. After a moment, she sighs and snaps the blade back into its sheath. Go on. The one thing I always knew was that I felt this connection more keenly than my sisters did. I could pick up nuances that they missed, and I could feel them from farther away. When my sisters died, I felt each of them getting yanked out of my brain like someone pulling snails from a garden. But some of their slime residue was still there. Does that make any sense? You should take comfort in. I would take comfort in that. Your sisters live on in you. Your optimism is cute, Fatebinder, if singularly useless. It won't bring my sisters back, and it doesn't fix this thing in my head that I don't understand. No matter how you paint it, some of my sisters broke off in me when they died, and now I'm left to deal with it. Just another day in the tears, right? Yeah? We'll talk again later. So, she fears me now? I mean, it's a combination of both. We'll see. Don't forget your manners around the Archon. Oh my god, is this actually Graven Ash? Well, let's go see.